Hey, listen. And sometimes the dumbest voices are the loudest ones,
And get the
and
most
they
attention.
get the attention. And they get the attention. So I'm glad that she's certainly is not in that category of a thoughtless voice. She is not a thoughtless voice. She's not an unimportant voice. So I'm glad she took the platform to say, it was almost like the pulpit. She was up there. And she said, hey,
absolutely.
Holly, give me the mic. I got one more thing to say. Let me say this about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, if you're out there, thank you. Thank you for what you've done for the game, because Caitlin Clark has done amazing things for women's basketball. She lost 2 championships, sure. So she's not a champion, but she has elevated the sport to a place that, frankly, I've never seen. And I'm comfortable saying this. I've never seen a baller like Caitlin Clark in the women's game. I've never seen anybody play like her before. I can't, I saw Cheryl Miller, I saw Cynthia Cooper, Candace Parker, all these great players in college and in the pros. I just haven't seen anybody like Caitlin Clark. So, yeah, it's and you think about it, it's the eye test, but it's also the records. It's funny where she had the stat, you've probably seen it, first to score over 3,000 points and 1,000 assists and all this stuff. And she only had 990 rebounds. She almost had 1,000. She almost had 1,000 across the board. Like 3,000 plus points, 1,000 plus assists, and almost 1,000 rebounds, averaging 28 a game for her career. Are you kidding? I just never seen a package like this. So I'm glad that we saw this. I'm glad we've been able to witness this the last couple of years, even though Iowa and the pride of West Des Moines doesn't come away with the championship. We're all better off for seeing this young woman do her thing.
Let's hear from Caitlin Clark, some remarks that she said she had on Saturday. I want to come back to South Carolina, but we'll first hear from Caitlin Clark, and then get back to this theme of her resume and the absence of a championship and what, if anything, that means. But here's Caitlin.
Women's basketball isn't just suddenly good. Like, it's been good. And, I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by coaches that have been in this game for a really long time. They coached when, 50 people showed up to the game and nobody wanted to support them and what they were doing. And, Coach Jay is our associate head coach, who is one of the best women's basketball players our state has ever seen. And for them to be at the forefront of, laying a foundation of this is what women's basketball is, and still nobody wanted to support it, for them to now see where it's evolved is pretty incredible. They deserve it more than anybody else for them to be in these moments too. But, it isn't just the people that are in the college game right now. It's every single person has come before us. And now you're seeing, we are on ESPN, we are on nationally televised TV stations that people are like, wow, this is so much fun to watch. They can't get enough of it. It's it is scheduled in their night. They're sitting down and watching. And I don't think it's only women's basketball. I think it's, you see it across the board, whether it's softball, whether it's gymnastics, volleyball. People want to watch. It's just, when they're given the opportunity, it's, the research and the facts show that people love it.
They're doing football numbers. Numbers. And one, that's not an exaggeration. Very few events, sporting events, and live sports is king right now, are outrating women's college basketball right now. And it's not just Caitlin Clark. She's obviously leading this unprecedented growth. But one thing that Dawn Staley has given voice to, and that it came up this weekend, is these units. 14.2, and in any minute now, we may get word that yesterday, eclipsed 15, or who knows how many people watched the championship game. But right now, 14.2 Iowa-UConn, 14.2 million viewers, peaking at 17 million viewers, is the record as we speak, right?
Right.
But the women aren't getting what's called the units, which is the money for tournament appearances and for advancing in a tournament the way that men are. That clearly has to change and change immediately. It should have changed yesterday, but that has to change immediately as record after record falls. I mean, we said that, at the start of this, we said that last year's 9.9 in the championship game was going to fall. Then LSU Iowa happened, and that record was temporary. And then Iowa UConn happened, and that record is now also temporary because another one is coming very soon. So the units need to change immediately, or that practice of not paying women for tournament appearances versus paying men for tournament appearances needs to change immediately.
It's wild, Mike. Some of the stuff you're talking about with units and the numbers, it's just really hard to put this into perspective for people who are not in the business like us. So we're in the business and we understand all this stuff. Can you imagine you're somebody at home and you need to understand that Iowa UConn did similar numbers to Cavaliers Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2018. It's done similar numbers to like Warriors games, like NBA Finals games. As a matter of fact, and I know there were some extenuating circumstances here in 2020, the bubble finals. So
sure,
outrated those finals, and then outrated the finals of the very next year, Phoenix and Milwaukee. I think those numbers were like 10 or 11 million. So these numbers are higher than some appearances in the recent NBA finals.
But I wouldn't even stick to this sport. I would say, like, the bar is the NFL. And I love this context. This hit close to home, obviously. And again, Amazon Prime Video is streaming, but I'm not qualifying anything. It's the NFL. And the NFL, we talk about all the time, like the most watched programs, the vast majority of the most watched programs are NFL games. These games are outrating Thursday night football, okay? Like I said, they put up football numbers. Like, more people are watching. It's undeniable. It's undeniable at this point. But the point I wanted to make, though, to your point about Caitlin Clark and her brilliance, well, one, and Dawn talked about what Caitlin Clark is going to do for the WNBA. I have no doubt that that these new or more committed eyeballs will follow her to the WNBA, which is great because everybody eats. I have no doubt that she'll be great alongside Aaliyah Boston in Indiana in the WNBA. Because to your point about having never seen a player quite like her, it ain't like she just threes or she's just a shooter. Right. It's like, even if she ain't able to shoot these logo threes against these grown women with families to feed, even if she doesn't come in and she's not the same transcendent figure on the professional level that she is or has been at the collegiate level, she still could pass. Like, I mean, she'll still be one of the best facilitators in the NBA. Maybe she don't average 30 a game. Maybe she only averages 20. She'll still probably be among the league leaders in assists, I would venture to guess. Like, she's such a complete player. I have no doubt that she succeeds at the next level. Which one?
How about the one dime yesterday when she comes down? Now, this is the one where it seemed like, because you can see South Carolina, like Iowa got off to a great start. Caitlin Clark on fire in the first quarter. Like, oh, this is going to be a problem. She might put up 50 tonight. They ain't got no answers for her. And then they cooled her off pretty quickly. But this is third quarter. South Carolina starting to take control of the game. And Caitlin is in the right corner. And I can't remember who it was streaking down the court. And she just kind of gave her the flick. On the way to the basket. Well, I mean, like, just to see that, just to see the play developing, to make the proper pass, to give the ball in position where the player just all you got to do is catch and shoot. I mean, she's just got a feel for the game that's unbelievable. Here's a thought I had though. Here's a thought, and maybe because we're you and I, we got a problem, Mike. We just love the draft too much. We love dealing. I can't believe you don't gamble as much as you love the draft and trades and all this stuff. Like, gambling is a natural for you. Come to this side come join us, please.
I have an addictive personality. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, so do I. All right. You need to just come on board. But I had this thought about the WNBA draft when Coach Staley, Reverend Staley, said she's going to be the number one pick in the WNBA draft. She is going to be the number one pick. She doesn't necessarily have to be the number one pick of the Indiana Fever. I'm sorry. Los Angeles picking second, Chicago picking third, the number 2 and number 3 markets in the country. You got Caitlin Clark. Look, you better do that. Hey, what's it going to take? What will it take to get that number one pick from a sister?
Sure.
What will it take to do that?
Sure. You can try.
I'd be it's a week from today. Non-stop. Hey, what you need?
Listen.
What you need? What you need? I got it here.
After you somehow managed to pry C.J. Stroud off my roster, it's worth a try. We'll get to the Texans maybe later in the show. Persistence.
All you got to do is ask.
How far it could get you. But maybe there's a WNBA title wherever she plays. It'll be Indiana. Wherever she plays, maybe there's a WNBA title in the future. But the idea of, and I love that we can have this conversation. I think we can have it thoughtfully from a nuanced place. It's like, hopefully. You know me. I have never been a rings person in team sports for individuals. Is it a piece of your resume? Is it a part of the conversation? Sure. Can it be a tiebreaker? Yeah, in a lot of instances. But you're not going to tell me that somehow Caitlin Clark is less than or not worthy of being on the same level as some other GOATs because her team did not beat superior teams in the last 2 national title games, okay? Because not only did Raven Johnson do a fantastic job, talk about redemption, a fantastic job of guarding Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
But they also, South Carolina also said, A, you ain't going to do this the whole game, and B, even if you do, we ain't letting the rest of y'all get off. You're going to have to beat all 9 of us by yourself, okay? And because she failed, quote unquote, to do that, doesn't mean she is a failure when it comes to, the conversation around whether or not she can stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the greats, many of the greats who preceded her. She didn't have the team to do it. And I don't think you can at the same time, I really don't believe this is possible. We cannot praise Dawn Staley and South Carolina for the masterful and brilliant coaching job that she did, taking an entire new starting 5, or taking a team with plenty of people who should get starters minutes and molding them into the unselfish machine that she did. We cannot praise them for being undefeated. So you mean to tell me Caitlin Clark's missing something from her resume because last year she couldn't beat LSU and one of the greatest coaches of all time, and as well as Angel Reese and the rest of her supporting cast. And this year she couldn't be the first team to beat a team that's lost 3 games in 3. First person, to beat a team that's lost 3 games in 3 years. So somehow that's a blemish on her resume because Iowa couldn't beat South Carolina. You can't have both. You can't say that she's somehow, she's not as great as some others because she didn't win a championship because she didn't beat South Carolina. She was born at the wrong time, perhaps. She came along for such a time as this, but when it comes to the championship conversation, maybe she was born at the wrong time because this is South Carolina's era. South Carolina, this is year 3 in the beginning of a 10-year run, Benny the Butcher. South Carolina about to get they're in their UConn era right now. Okay, getting back to them for a second. They're in their UConn era. This feels like Dawn is just getting started. Between Johnson, Fulwiley, and whoever else she's bringing into South Carolina, or whoever else remaining, with Cardozo going to the WNBA, she's not done winning championships. She is going to deny plenty of people, the way UConn did, the way Tennessee did, the way Jordan did, the way LeBron has, like the way Tiger did. There are going to be plenty of people with runner-up finishes thanks to Dawn Staley in South Carolina, because that's what dynasties do. Dynasties deny you your dreams.
That's right.
Tom Brady, go down the list. Go down the list. Patrick Mahomes, go down the list. Like, there are winners, but the other people don't have to be losers because you came up short against Dawn Staley and this machine that is South Carolina. I reject that. I refuse to entertain the notion that something is missing from Caitlin Clark's resume because she couldn't beat LSU and South Carolina in the national championship game, because this is a team sport first and foremost, as they all are. I hate assigning rings to individuals and saying that there's somehow, something missing within them, or they don't have what it takes because they ran up against the inevitable.
Yeah. One of my, it's funny you say, they deny your dreams. One of my callers on my sports talk radio days used to call up and he'd call Brady and Belichick. He said, you know what they are? They're legacy blockers. So that's why so many people hate them. They're legacy blockers. Whether it's Peyton Manning or anybody else, they deny you from where you're trying to go because they just sit there and they just won't get out of the way. Jordan was the same way. Like, a lot of great athletes and great coaches are like that, and they're immovable. And so, you get something. You're able to every now and then get around them, but ultimately, you don't get as much as you think you should have had because of their presence. So that's one. The other thing is, I don't know if you remember, we had Dawn Staley on Brother from Another. This is back in the day. This is in the early days. It was like year one, year two, we had her on. And I remember talking to her about coaching. And she said, it's almost like people look at us and look at South Carolina and they just think, hey, I just recruit them here and we win. And I just kind of sit there. It's like, I'm coach, really don't get credit for being the coach that I am. And so she is a fantastic coach and a fantastic recruiter. You can do both. I think she has done that. But you said she's going to block other people. I'll tell you who else is going to block other people. Caitlin Clark. So if she doesn't have greatness in college, there are a lot of people who didn't win national championships in college.
Correct.
Or didn't go to college for the opportunity to win a national championship, LeBron. But if you win it in the pros, do we take away what we said about her in college? So if you don't think, she's not clutch, she's not a GOAT, whatever. So what if she goes to the WNBA and wins 3 straight? What if she wins like 4 out of 6? Okay, her story is not written. It's not complete.
Shoot.
It's not complete.
It's
written, but it's not completely written.
On a more trivial note, I mean, hell, alongside Sabrina, she made him a 3-point contest in her future against Stephen Clay at the All-Star game. I mean, like, what she's going to continue to do for the game, the women's game, the game of basketball. Again, I stress this and I referenced this last week. It's like true evolution is just looking at this as just basketball. I mean, if you're a fan of basketball, yes, it's gender specific, but you don't have to view it through a prism of it's somehow a different sport. Like, we can enjoy the women's game as basketball. So she's got all her fans are not women. You know what I mean? There are plenty of people that she is bringing to the table, and she's expanding the tent of basketball. So what she's going to do at the professional level, what she's going to do, for basketball culture in general, she's just getting started as well. And the
what you do in LA?
In good hands.
What you do in LA? What you do in Chicago?
Going to continue to be in good hands with Juju and others.
Get on that phone.
And others to follow. But it feels like what Dawn has in South Carolina just isn't going to stop anytime soon.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.